4, 3, 2. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on,
y'all? What's going on, Internet Universe?
What's going on? clbTV, are you serious?
Are you serious?
Up in your facial, son.
We doing it.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to a little thing that we call the Cipher.
Yes.
I'm your man, Marcus the Kid Warren, and with me is my man Muff. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really excited about doing this segment here because, as you know, man, for the past, this was my way. What we're going to do right now, let me just get to it.
Get to it.
We're about to do the independent albums of the decade.
What? Are you serious?
I love it because I can't even start with this, man.
Do it. Just get into it, man.
I mean, this is my salute to really, it turns out to be 13 of, I believe, the illest albums put out independently from the underground. And the reason why I love these albums is because of really what was going on at the beginning of the decade. Mm-hmm. As far as hip hop was concerned,
okay,
things got a little bit of shiny suit era, was just coming into focus a little bit, winded down, that type of thing. I didn't like necessarily the direction, excuse me, guys, that hip hop was going in at that time. Mm-hmm. So I literally was seeking, some ill things from the underground. You know what I mean? Tribe had broke up. Tribe Called Quest had broke up.
All right.
A lot of things were happening at the beginning of the decade that I didn't necessarily jive with me. And then I found two things at the beginning of the decade. Mm-hmm. I found Company Flow and Raucous Records.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Vicodin, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't find Vicodin.
Okay.
But then that's it. I started searching for these things, man, and I started the internet. I got my first computer basically at the beginning of 2000. You know what I'm saying? So without the internet, the internet actually helped me. To get in tune with some of these great albums and that type of thing. So I knew when I would go to the record store what it was I was looking for. And guys would help me out with this. So without further ado, I'm just going to go into it. There's 13 of them. And I don't know, you can cue me up, man. Start with number one.
Well, let's start at the top here. Now, you thought J-Lib, Champion Sound came out in 2003.
Yes.
So why don't you start by telling everybody out there, what is J-Lib?
J-Lib is a collaboration, if you guys don't know, I know a lot of you guys do know, it's a collaboration between the late, great J Dilla and Madlib.
Rest in peace, J Dilla.
Yeah, rest in peace, J Dilla. And what these guys did, which I thought was awesome, was they each submitted tracks, for half of the album. Okay, so in other words, Madlib did half, Dilla did half,
right?
And they rhymed over each other's beats.
Now that's an ill deal. That's an ill concept.
And then it wasn't just those guys, but you also had Talib Kweli spitting on there. Frank and Dank was on there. So it was just. It was just absolutely off the chain. It was a beat clinic, an absolute beat clinic.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? The Red, Champion Sound. I can hear the song Champion Sound in my head right now, just bumping my head. Okay. It's crazy, man. I love the album. It met expectations. Came out in 2003. I was all over it, man. I thought that was a great. So, and again, once we're done, I'll give you what I thought was the best album of the decade, but that certainly was one of them. Okay,
great. Now, we're going to keep on going, but before we do that, I just want to let everybody know, if you have your opinions on what the greatest indie albums of the decade were, hit us up at kidandmuff44 at gmail.com. That's kidandmuff44 @gmail.com. And don't forget to hit us up at on Facebook at Cipher Crew. I'm all flustered over here. That's Cipher Crew on Facebook and kidandmuff44 @gmail.com. Now, continuing on, one of my favorite groups, indie groups, Little Brother. Now, you thought The Listening was one of the greatest albums, was dropped in 2003.
Yes.
Now, you thought this was one of the greatest albums. Personally, I like The Minstrel Show, but you thought The Listening was one of the greatest albums of 2000.
Absolutely. The Minstrel Show was. Well, I'll give you my opinion. The Minstrel was a very good album, but The Listening was a classic, and I'll tell you why. The Listening came out, basically guys like me who was pretty much upset and felt some type of way about a Tribe Called Quest breaking up. In fact, I think that Questlove from the Roots had mentioned that The Listening was the album he wished he would have made.
Really?
Yeah. And it was great also because number one, it was a lot more. It was soulful, very soulful.
Yeah, it was.
Whatever you say, was on there.
Don't forget.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The yo-yo.
Yo-yo was off the hook, man.
That was my joint.
I mean, I could go. Here's the thing, Morning, Speed. Oh my God, Speed was ridiculous. I mean, I can go every song. Every song on there was banging. If you don't have The Listening, if you have any of these albums I'm mentioning, turn in your backpack. Turn it right now. You got
You said turn it to your backpacker pack.
These are all must-have albums.
Okay.
By the way, they're all. You got to have it, man. Came out in 2003. Fonte, and what you had to, what I really liked about it is the chemistry between Big Prue and Fonte, who was one of the most underrated MCs I think out there.
I do agree.
Knife Wonder, and it's funny. What's really kind of weird, ironic even about Little Brother, is that their breakup is just as much of a mystery as Tribe Called Quest's breakup was.
Yeah, really.
Because I don't know. I mean, because you get on, you see Fonte puts out. He'll put out like a little YouTube video every now and then saying, well, I just didn't like, dude just feeling some type of way. No specifics or anything, just a lot of feelings, which is weird for men. Because you can't you're just telling me how you feel about it, not what literally broke you guys up.
Right.
Because together you guys were incredible, apart not so much. Although the last couple of Little Brother albums, come on, y'all, it wasn't all that. We gotta keep it real. It wasn't all that. But I think you guys were kind of mailing it in, with the last couple of albums.
Okay.
But certainly the first couple, certainly The Listening and the Minstrel Show is very good too. Which is, the Minstrel Show as opposed to The Listening was probably a little bit more polished than The Listening was.
Okay.
But The Listening was just like, we're making our stamp right now. We're young cats, and I just thought, beat-wise, Knife was on the top of his game. He was refreshing to hear this guy just master those Fruity Loops like he did. I love The Listening. Still listen to it today.
Okay. All right, before we move on, I just want to give everybody a quick tip. If you have, well, I guess it's a little bit too late now, but I had a chance to actually catch Little Brother live. Great group live.
Yeah, we did. We saw the Little Brother. I think I saw him a couple times live. Very good live band.
Yes. All right, but anyway, moving on. Okay. All right. Number three. Mad Villain.
Mad Villain.
Okay, all right. But first, why don't we say who is Mad Villain? Why don't you tell everybody who is Mad Villain?
Mad Villain. Y'all know Mad Lib.
And
MF Doom.
MF Doom.
And then we've talked about, ever since we've been doing the show, we've been talking about Doom and Mad Villain. I don't want to go into great detail because all of our other shows we've talked about this. But again, just to reiterate what we talked about beforehand is that, the beats, the rhymes coming together made an absolute classic album. Again, like I said last week, I still listen to that album today. Raid was, let's go over some of the songs in Mad Villain. That's something we didn't really go into.
Anyway, Mad Villain dropped in 2004.
2004. I think that the song that really had me, let me even back up before that. I remember hearing some individual tracks on the Mad Villainy album before the album came out. I just heard some individual tracks first. And I didn't know what quite to make of them. And I wasn't at the time a huge MF Doom fan. I just heard about him, listened to Operation Doomsday.
Okay.
And I was like, I really liked that album, but I hadn't really, I wasn't a huge Doom fan until I heard him over these Mad Lib beats like that. And listening to the individual Mad Villain tracks, they were kind of quirky. It was definitely, they're both quirky in their own right. He's a quirky MC, he's a quirky producer, in my opinion. And, but I hadn't heard the Mad Villain album the way they meant it to be heard. And once I did, it's an exceptional album.
Yes.
Raid, I love how, I think it's MED comes in, to rhyme after Doom with that piano loop that Madlib uses. It's incredible. Rhinestone Cowboy. That's the last track on the album. Rhinestone Cowboy is one. That song is so ill it don't even make sense. It don't even make sense, man.
Okay.
It's just ridiculous. I don't know. I've talked about it. I don't want to gush too hard over it.
All right,
we've been all over it.
All right. Anyway, number 4. Now this one was a little bit weird for me. Okay. You go over J Live.
J Live,
all of the above, which dropped in 2002. Yeah. Why J Live?
Oh, J Live. Oh my God. I produced.
Really, you worked with J Live?
No, I didn't.
Word?
Can
I have your autograph?
I uploaded to our Facebook page one of the songs. Traveling, was it traveling music? I want to say traveling music. I think it was. At any rate, just beat wise, it's exceptional. I mean, from the song Anna, which is a great. Everything is used. He keeps saying Anna throughout the song. You guys know if you heard it beforehand. Just beat wise, it's exceptional. You get a lot of the production. It's artists and guys like DJ Spinner, who's a great underground producer. Not as much, I haven't heard as much from DJ Spinner lately as I did earlier in a decade. But I mean, just he's a part of Polyrhythmatics. If you guys know who DJ Spinner is, and he's the kind of guy that is equally adept at making hip hop beats as he is house beats. That's just who he is, man. Lyrically, J Live, if you don't know, he is that dude lyrically, straight up. It's a guy, he's also a great DJ in his own right, too. Just the tracks, that's one of those albums I can listen to from the very beginning to the end. It's very listenable. It's very atmospheric, if you will, a little bit, some of the beats on there. And I just think it's an absolutely exceptional album. Anybody I've ever played that album for was like, who is this guy? I always get that, who is this guy? So, yeah, I think that's definitely one of the better albums of the 2000s.
Well, personally, I thought it was a good album. Thought it was a great album. I don't know about classic or one of the best albums of the decade, but that's just my opinion.
What about it was that you didn't like?
I mean, it's not like I didn't like the album, but I think there's just so much out there, the vast universe of independent music. I just, when I listen to it, I'm like, this is a good album. This is a great album. But, it's like, if you're going to say, the top 10 or top 15, I don't know. I don't know if it was there for me. I don't know. I'm gonna take the Randy Jackson answer and say, it was just all right for me. It was just all right for me.
All the above was just all right for you. Wow.
It was just all right for me. I mean, it was a good album. Don't get me wrong. It was very tight, very very good produced. But you know what? It was just all right for me. I don't know about the top. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, moving on. Lone Catalyst. Hip Hop, 2002. Speak on it, son.
Speak on it. I'll tell you. 2000. I remember going into the record store. Around that time, obviously, 2002 had to be, that's when the album came out. We're going into this record store called Record Theater, and when I went to was the one that was on Main Street before they moved, Main and Lafayette. And I remember going in. That's where, like, when I started getting in, when my internet got going, okay, and I started getting hip to all these guys. I wanted to go to the record store, and I was wondering where in Buffalo, where we are, I could go and get this underground music. And this guy who worked there was this real cool dude. He used to always let me know what was good. And he would always order things. So I would go into the internet, find out, say, Mad Villain was coming out. And I was like, oh man, where can I get that? I can't get that just anywhere. And the guy would go and personally order it for me. So we had that kind of relationship. So I went in there one day, and I remember this vividly. He said, yo man, you gotta check out these Lone Catalyst dudes. I'm like, who is this? So I went and got him, loved the album. The album is called Hip Hop. Jay Rawls, another great producer in his own right. Gotta get up on Jay Rawls. He's a beast, an absolute beast. Very jazzy in his production style. In fact, his production style it reminds me a lot of early Premier, not on the cuts, but how the early Gangstar had a lot of that jazz appeal. Like if you listen to that the words that manifest type stuff, you find a lot of that type of stuff in Jay Rawls' music. Jay Sands is his MC, so they had a great chemistry together. Jay Sands the MC over his beats. The Place to Be. Just the hip hop itself. Everything in that album I thought was absolutely banging, man. And I thought that was one of the better albums of the decade, without question, really.
All right, moving on. Let's look at my boys, Cannibal Ox, The Cold Vein, 2001, son. What?
Wow. Well, again, and it's funny because I'm a big LP production head. I love LP's production. I think he's one of the most underrated producers. Not just underrated, like I mentioned, like how Jay Rawls be, but I think this guy should be one of the top producers, period. I really do, man. I love his work, especially in the early part of the decade. I love, first of all, I loved all the company flow stuff. And I like him as an MC. I do like him as an MC. And I love his work with your man A$AP Rock. But we know that when you took these two grimy MCs from New York, Vastair and Vordo, on these LP beats, the chemistry, what came out, I thought was an absolute masterpiece. The Cold Vein was definitely that album for me.
Okay.
You know, came out in 2001. And again, you know, if you want to get away from shiny suits, listen to the Cold Vein.
Yes.
You will get away from them shiny suits.
That's definitely. I think I may have even quoted myself in saying that was a level 6 backpacker type of joint. And if you want to check out a review of that album, we actually reviewed that a few months ago. Look on clbTV. We did that a few months ago. Check it out. But moving on, if you're done with Cannibal Ox, the Cold Vein, we're going to look at Jay Dilla, Rough Draft, 2007. What's up with that? Jay Dilla.
Them Jews you rock, make them envy. That's my joint right there, boy. Make them envy. Listen, this is how dope I thought that album was, man.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, it was called Rough Draft because that must have been just Jay Dilla's Rough Draft. Okay, fine. But it don't sound like it. It don't sound like some music messed around on. Production was crazy on that joint.
Okay.
Reckless Driving, Make 'em Envy. Man, let me tell you what I love about that, man. Who else would use that sample from M.O.P.? You know, it's just crazy. And the thing about it, Jay Dilla ain't really talking about nothing. He ain't just rhyming. But I thought that album was Jay Dilla's coming out party strictly as an MC solo-wise.
You think so?
Absolutely. You know,